Rose. This is Charlotte, and I'm out here gonna work a little bit with your Jet. Jet has been presenting in a very interesting way that can be a little challenging to understand if you're not used to it. And for that reason, I think really he needs a little more time. He is what I would call a high freeze horse. He has learned to really ignore things, not how to solve things like a stress puzzle. And now as he's starting to relax and become more present, and since we don't use the ignore piece, we try to teach horses how to solve the puzzle of fear and stress. We don't try to teach them just ignore it and go on. We want them to know how to actually solve it. If you do the traditional desensitize and teach that ignore, the emotions that whatever you're doing have created are internalized by the horse, and that emotion is going to come out at some point. So that is very similar to the horse that was fine, and a rabbit came out, another rabbit came out, the horse was fine, but when the 11th rabbit popped out, the horse lost his marbles. And it wasn't that he wasn't bothered by rabbit 1 through 10, but he'd been taught to ignore, he'd been desensitized, and that gets more people hurt than anything. And Jet is showing some funny pieces in him. He's been fine to get on, but he's getting increasingly more worried about people getting off of him. So to me, he's probably not okay with them getting on. It's just by the time they go to get off, he starts to relax and he can express his emotion. So I wanted to come out and do a little session with him to start teaching him how to solve this stress puzzle with relaxation and connection, not with freeze and ignore. And I was hoping Tommy could video so that you can get to watch it. So I started out just standing down here in a little bit of a modified playground of safety. He will probably progress this a little bit, but since he has been wanting to leave when you go to get off of him, I am not really reinforcing that bubble in a huge way. I'm trying to reinforce the connect. When you're with me, you're really safe. And this is perfect. Horses are so funny. We have a flagpole. His eyes are looking way more peaceful. When I first came out here, his eyes were big. He was absolutely compliant and obedient. But his eyes were big, his neck was kind of up like this. He has learned how to tolerate things and be obedient and compliant, but he hasn't really gotten where he accepts things really well. And one thing that you'll notice that he does, when the heat gets too much in the ring, these horses that are high freeze, high obedience, learn to be compliant, their minds will go out of the ring. They will leave, and he goes out up here with Fooey and Twitch, and when he starts feeling stressed, his mind goes up there, a little bit like he's doing here. Now, he is so smart. I have done nothing to make him worry, and obviously he's done a little bit of puzzle stuff at least before, and he's been trying to find, where do you want me to be? Where is the safe spot? And I love that he's trying to do that. He's almost got the spot that I want for my tapping absolutely right. I want to show you a couple things before we go to do that. One, his feet are pretty square, which is really good. A horse will show in their physical posture their mental and emotional balance. So if a horse is mentally and emotionally unbalanced, you will very much see it in their posture. One of the first things we look for is for their feet to get really square, and he finds squareness fairly easily. We're not perfectly square right now, but we're gonna watch. I want you to watch those things. I also notice whichever set of feet is wider apart is where your horse is going to be holding more of their weight, where they're going to hold more of their balance. Horses that stand wide in front, narrow behind, are heavier on the forehand, and they almost always are more explosive. That horse is physically unbalanced and it's mentally and emotionally unbalanced. Horses that stand square and wide behind, hock up under them, pelvis rotated, front feet closer together, those horses are physically more balanced, and they're also mentally and emotionally more balanced. So he does tend to stand wider in front than behind. Hopefully we'll be able to change that a little bit today. So he keeps moving to put me in that friendly tapping spot. And I just took a step to get really in the spot, and you'll notice he moved away. There's obviously a threshold there next to this horse that we must be triggering when we get off, because he keeps offering me sort of right there at his shoulder. When I step back into the actual spot that I call a friendly spot, where we mount, get on, off, he was obviously bothered. So now I'm going to try it again. I'm going to just softly approach and stand here in this spot with my back to him. Now, I start out with my back to him because obviously my eyes and my belly button give off the most pressure and the most stress. So the least pressury spot on me is my back. And if my horse can't tolerate my back standing close to them, they're not going to tolerate my front standing close to them. So that's a typical response of a high freeze horse. He stands there and then he moves away. So he is showing us that there's a huge threshold right here. I really feel like it's not the time to take him home, because anything you got to do from right here, especially get on and off, he's not okay. And you see where he has like a little timer on his foot, then he will stay there that long. So if it takes you longer to get on or off, then that right there, it's not going to work out so good. So I'm just going to keep, there he took a breath that time. Perfect. So I'm just going to keep reapproaching this spot with my back until he can show me that he's starting to do things more relaxed or connected to solve this pressure or this stress. There he's still leaving. He's not okay. And see, the fact that he will stand that long would fool a lot of people into thinking he was fine. But he's not. See, he's connecting to Tommy sitting there on the chair. He's not connecting to me. Now he's gone out in the field. Now he's back to Tommy. This horse is really bothered by me standing next to him. These Mustangs are so subtle. This is innate to them, hardwired into them to be really subtle and sensitive. And there, again, he's had to move away. But I thought it was interesting. Before he moved away, he started blinking his eyes, and maybe Tommy can zoom in on his eyes. These eyes look a lot more soft. There he did lateral flexion toward me. So that's also an improvement. These eyes look tremendously softer. So I think I'm going to reward him for a minute, and I'm going to walk away. We're going to get up here closer where you can hear better. But that was a huge improvement. Now, do you see where I walked forward and he took that side away from me? He's put me on the other side. So I would say, he's saying, you were kind of bossy with that threshold there. And that's all right. I'm going to work on the threshold on this side now. And this seems like a lot of do nothing. See, here's where he's escaping. That bothers him. I'm just going to slowly reapproach and wait. His head went down a little bit, but he's still escaping. And really, up until now, he was so frozen we couldn't see this issue. This issue has just barely crept up until today. Tommy was really having trouble getting off of him. And see how he just keeps creeping away from me. He's not being bad. This bothers him. Ah, there his head went down. That was a much better way. Now he's licking his lips. So this is a much better way to solve this stress, but it's still causing him stress. He's still left. Now I got a little lateral flexion. There the head went down again. It's still bothering him, but he's dropping his head more. I'm gonna reward him because really he got to a level of more relaxation that time. Gonna see, what does he offer me now? How interesting. You know, we've noticed from the beginning this horse would easily line up directly behind us, and we took that as a really great sign. My friend Pete, who is a really good friend of Jake's, has got this 10 block system. One of the blocks is teaching the horse to line up directly behind you. Ah, he's offering me this side again. That's beautiful. I'll take it. I'm starting to wonder if he doesn't learn that that is the spot of least pressure directly behind you, but he also keeps you directly in front of him so that you are not blowing him up by being next to him. Now he's stayed much better this time. And you'll see all this twitching in his wither. I think horses hold their short-term stress in their shoulders and their withers. And as that starts to release, the fascia in those shoulders and wither will start to release as well. And it'll create all this twitching we can see in the wither right there. So he's still drifted away. He's still drifting away. Ah, and there he took it away from me. Do you see? He is really bothered. So that's fine. He's given me this side, so I'm going to work on this side a little bit. The worst thing we could do is get one side really good and not prepare the other side. So, hi, there. Do you feel that soft lateral flexion? And now, instead of backing straight up, he actually turned his butt and left his front foot in place. We're making some progress. His eyes and face are looking better, but he's not fully okay. One of the ways we can see that is because under his eyes, it is not poofy. He does not have little bags under his eyes yet. That's significant because when a horse is in sympathetic nervous system or survival, look how much wider we're getting behind. This is really good. When they're in sympathetic nervous system or survival, tear production turns off. And horses are very flat under their eyes. Sometimes they could be wrinkly under their eyes. Sometimes they even have little dots of sweat under their eyes. Even if the rest of them looks calm, that under those eyes gives away that this horse is not okay. Good. As he is able, this is lateral flexion towards me, that's beautiful. Now, that's the first time he went forward instead of backwards. Really good. And there, he did a connection and touched my hand. Brilliant. This is a huge improvement. So I'm going to walk away because that was so good. I want to give him a nice release. Really nice. So we're going to pay attention because when he starts to switch over into parasympathetic nervous system, your rest, digest, play, learn, heal, trust, connect nervous system. getting a little yawning. This is great. This is great. It looks like I'm doing nothing. But the horse recognizes that I recognize what's going on. Parasympathetic nervous system, your rest, digest, play, learn, heal, trust, and connect. Nervous system has physical things that happen. The head went down. Yay. The back feet are wider. Now look at the ears getting soft. It has physical things that happen in the body when the horse switches over. One of those things is tear production turns on. And that's why they get these puffy little bags under their eyes. So when a horse is absolutely perfectly obedient, but there are weird little glitches in there, I will really look at that eye to see. Now our front legs are starting to stand more back. That's excellent. The closer together those hind legs and the front legs get, the more the horse starts to stretch its back. They will hold, emotions, and I know what I'm supposed to do in their back, and their back will get really low. Head will get really high, back will get really low. You'll get this little bubble butt that he's got. Beautiful. When they switch over into parasympathetic nervous system, holy moly, what a change. When they switch over, the front and the back feet will start getting a little closer together. They'll start stretching all this. The back will come up, the pelvis will rotate under. You won't see the bubble butt, the head won't be straight up in the air. See, that bothers me. Good boy. So one of the things we just got was his head dropped to the ground, his lip went to wiggling in the dirt. That is like, woohoo, excellent. Lateral flexion again. And he's bumping me with his nose. Good boy. Off to the other side again. Gonna go back to this side. Awesome. Mustangs are a really interesting bunch, whether they're wild caught or captive bred. They are very, very intelligent, and they're very, very sensitive. And they really know how to use this freeze in a way that most people cannot see it. They can't see it till they're hurt. And this horse really wants to be good. He really wants to be a partner. He understands your mental pictures. He really wants to mirror with those. He wants to do what's right. But when things bother him, we're just not seeing it well enough. So now he's gone out there, he sees a car driving down the road. So I'm just gonna wait. His eyes aren't wide open, but he's out there, so he's experiencing some stress. This is not boredom. This is stress, a stress response. So if this horse were truly relaxed, comfortable, maybe even bored, his nose would be on the ground, wiggling in the dirt. He may lay down. He's going out the other pasture. There, her head is going down. Now, I would much rather see him. A big yawn. Good job. I would much rather see him trying to escape from me going forward than backwards. The backwards is really stuck. That is a frozen horse that you're blowing up. The forward is the horse using flight to escape you. Yeah, it may look like slow motion flight, but it's still flight. This horse is so high freeze that if he switches to leaving, going forward, it is a positive. After he gets okay, he won't be leaving so much. So his eyes look better. He's blinking a little bit. We're getting some twitching in the wither, but he's still not okay. There, so he's licking his lips, moving his jaw. There's the lip wiggling in the dirt. The head has gone down. We're to another level of relaxation, but he's still not all the way okay. There, really nice. So he's dropped his head. He's wiggling his lip in the dirt. Ah, he blew out. I'm gonna walk away on that one. Huge, huge improvement with the blowout. Really, really better. You are doing awesome. You are doing awesome. So now I'm going to come back into my spot. Wait for him. There, so he's blinking a little bit. His ear is coming on me. Look, our head is going down. He's still wiggling around, but this is a much better horse on which I can start to tap. And I am going to start to tap with my belly button and eye energy. We don't want to start whacking on him with the stick. If we do that, we're going to beautiful. Beautiful. Good boy. Yes, that's how you solve it, with lateral flexion. Lateral flexion is super bonding. I think if they're getting a hit of oxytocin when we've got that lateral flexion. All right, so this horse is ready for me to start tapping on him. So there. So when he disconnects, like his ears go out there in the field, I'm going to turn my belly button. When he gives me an ear, good boy, I turn my belly button away to release. And do you see that he then followed through with a full lateral flexion and a full head dropping to the ground? So I'm going to wait to tap. There, he disconnected again, right? So belly button to him. He blinked. I think blink is the first sign of relaxation and the head going down. So I released on that. Good boy. And I'm just going to sit there calmly until he finds a peaceful place to stop. Good boy. But all of this is working on your mounting and dismounting, your mounting block issues. This is all working on that. Now, look at him starting to find some, there, look at his face. Hopefully Tommy can zoom in on these eyes. There, he disconnected. I gave him a little belly button. I got the ear. There, he disconnected. I do the belly button. I got the ear. Good, so we're making some good progress. But what I want you to see by doing this is we're teaching him how to solve this puzzle. Good boy. But he really is not totally confident with this. Hi, you are so good. Now this forward motion can be positive for the high freeze horse. Nice. They will move a little bit as they're coming out of their freeze. Look at our jaw motion here. Now he disconnected, belly button on him. I got the ear again. This horse is really sensitive to that ear. Now he's really getting stoned. Tommy, really get that face. Beautiful. 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 Belly button on. I got the ear, release. Belly button on. I got the ear, release. Belly button on. I got the ear, release. And I think he's now a little bit testing. Am I actually listening to him? Am I listening to something that subtle that he's saying? It's kind of like people don't normally talk to horses this soft, right? At least not at the beginning. Good boy. to stay connected to me. There was a blink, I'm going to reward it. I reward either the blink or the ear. Now he's kind of going forward, but he's not trying to leave. Good boy, good boy, good boy. Good boy. Belly button on. I got the ear. Release. Belly button on. I got the ear. Release. Look at him. Oh, this is so good. Tommy, how does it look to you?
Looks good from here.
Ah, look at that jaw, the T and J alignment. Horses, yay! Horses hold a huge amount of stress and anxiety in this jaw. You start getting yawning, you get this T and J alignment. That is big stuff. Belly button on, blink, release. Belly button on, blink, release. Nice. This is going really well. Horses and people do not want to be crazy. Everybody wants to find balance, but they must feel safe and comfortable first. And this horse will do whatever it takes to keep himself safe. If freezing and being compliant is how he stays safe, that's what he's going to do. But, you know, if he feels so unsafe that he has to freeze, that's not what you want. That's not going to be a confident partner for you. So we've got to go back and fill all this in. And it's very normal for it to take some time for a horse to show us it has this problem. All right, so they're disconnected and I'm gonna up the game a little bit. Now I'm facing him with my belly button, but my intention is I'm being neutral right now. He's connecting to me with his ear. He's trying to figure out, how do I solve this stress puzzle? Good, so he's taking some deeper breaths. If he can connect to me, he's going to get a hit of oxytocin. Yes, like that. The love, trust, care for, protect hormone. If he drops his head, he's going to get a hit of endorphins, the overall sense of well-being hormone. Great, so he's like, doing the oxytocin. Now we've got some endorphins. And horses like him that have lived in a pretty high adrenaline state, when you start showing them how great it feels to feel endorphins, to feel oxytocin, holy cow, they want to go there. Nice, beautiful change. So I'm being progressive, but I'm also being really slow, taking his responses into account. Good. I feel like we're doing better here. Look how much wider apart our back feet are. It's getting shorter from front to back. Yay! Oxytocin there. So I'm going to wait for him to disconnect, and then I'm going to raise the stick. Raising the stick is going to create a little more stress. But I have to wait for him to disconnect or pick his head up or do something. Good boy. What a good boy. And maybe he's not going to let me. Maybe he's going to stay so relaxed and connected here. Brilliant. So his ears are pricking, but his head's not coming up. I'm not going to stress him there. something big, a yawn, a blowout, a shake. There, we just got a big breath. We're gonna wait for something that seems like it's a big deal to him to end the session. I'm not gonna put any more pressure on him because he has really done well. So there he's sort of going out in the field. Then he came right back. Good boy, good boy, good boy. And it doesn't look like we're doing horse training, but I promise you, doing this will make all the difference in the world to you. And you fixing this up at home, you knowing how to do this, you can show him that you're really thinking about his well-being, his opinion. There, another connection, another relaxation. I'm just waiting for yawn, shake, blowout, big licking his lips, eye roll, just something that shows me, wow, he's really switching over. Now, I don't know if Tommy can get this, his jugular groove there, but he sees it moving, so we may not get it as perfect, but there's a space when they start to let go and they start processing that the blood does this weirdo thing in their jugular groove. Now, look at that. Just somebody standing up way over there created some stress for him. And that's great. There's going to be stress in life. I'm just going to stand here and help him find what is the answer to that stress. Yes, you drop your head and take a hit of endorphins. Endorphins give you an overall sense of well-being and more pain-relieving power than morphine. Now look at those eyes getting so stoned. He connects with me again. This is beautiful. He's been dropped down pretty much the whole time I've been handling it. That's really good. Now I'm starting to see the vertical fascial lines in his rib cage. I don't know that you'll be able to see that on the video or not, but horses have fascia that holds them in their shape. Every cell in your body is like in a little fascial bag. Horses that are high survival, sympathetic nervous system horses have a certain shape. Head up, back down, bubble butt, feet kind of parked out and splayed around. Yes, you were in very much a sympathetic nervous system shape when you got here. When they start to switch over into parasympathetic nervous system, their shape will also change. One of the first things we see is these vertical lines in the fascia in their barrel, because the belly will start to come up, the back will start to come up, the hip will start to roll under. It's got to be hard to see on the tape because it's hard to see sitting here. But that's a huge change. So his actual fascia that you cannot make change. Fascia takes over 2,000 pounds to make it stretch or move. Fascia has its own intelligence. When we can make him feel safe and comfortable enough that he can do this twitching and this fascia starts to reshape, the fascia has decided itself to reshape. Now, I'm holding a stick because if he was progressive enough, I would have tapped on him with the stick. I think this horse was even more bothered than I thought. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this is big wiggling his lip in the dirt. Huge. So when they're doing that, that's an endorphin lip. He's getting huge surges of endorphins. It feels great. And there's the blowout we were looking for. 2 blowouts. German motor blowouts. A German dressage trainer and vet says a horse has an upper muscle chain and a lower muscle chain. He says that when a horse blows out, it is giving you flowers, because a horse is not capable of blowing out unless both the upper and the lower muscle chain are relaxed. I used to always say they were blowing out their bad ideas, but I do think Gaird's "they're giving you flowers" is a better way to say that. So we're going to wrap this up, because wow, what a difference. So this reason right here is why I think he needs to stay a little longer, so we can solve these threshold issues with you getting on and off, because we want you to be safe and we want him to have a long, productive life with people. And if we send him home, something bad happens when you're getting on or off, yay, we're yawning. And something bad happens when you're getting on or off, you may either decide you're going to keep him as a pet, but you may also decide this is not the horse for me. And his life is not going to be nearly as good. So we would love to help him a little more. Look at the change in his muzzle. Now we're square, we're a little wider behind. He's still wider in front than behind, but this is better than it was. Our back is coming up. I'll sort of move in front of him so maybe we can get a shot of that body, because this body will continue to reshape. Good boy. He's like, I would much rather be with you than without. So I hope you have a great day. I hope this was helpful to you, and hopefully we'll see you soon.